Hello, and thank you for installing UltraWideo version 3 on Firefox. In this video tutorial, I'll focus on showing you how to use the extension, what feature it provides, and that's pretty much it. If you're a Firefox user, of course, there's another video that you should watch prior to this one, as the Firefox users now require one extra step after the installation to make the entire process work. So, if you watch that video, you can continue now. I'm going to show you that when you open the extension, there's a new interface, fairly minimal, but contains everything that you may need. And I'm just going to right click on the extension icon, go to Manage Extension, and show you where to configure shortcuts. So click on this cog icon here and click Manage Extension Shortcuts. Now here you'll see some pre-configured shortcuts that comes by default after installation. And I found that these work best for macOS. And if you're on Windows, I found that these work best for Windows, especially cross-browser. If you ever switch to another browser, the shortcuts will be the same. But in case that some extension shortcuts are set as blank, it means they have conflict with some other extensions. You might want to pre-configure them to something else. Or you might want to pre-configure the other extension to something else, or simply delete the shortcut if you're not using it, and then configure the UltraWideo to your needs. And in this case, it was Command Control period for macOS. And I will not focus on Windows because it's everything. Everything is just identical except the shortcut keys. So I'll just record entirely on macOS. So to get started, I'm going to show you now, after I showed you actually where to configure shortcuts, now I'm going to show you one small feature, which is appearance. Basically, whatever your OS is set on, if it's light, the extension will be light. And if it's set on dark appearance, the extension will be dark as well. I think that will help your eyes a little bit. So let's see it in action. I have already prepared one YouTube video here. I'm just going to reload it just in case, never hurts. And the extension works only in full screen if in case you didn't know about it. So it doesn't work in theater mode, for example, because that's YouTube specific, and some other platforms might have similar feature as well. But maybe at some point, UltraWideo might get that as well. At the moment, it's only full screen, so I'm going to go full screen. And you can see that the video already has a different aspect ratio because there are no black bars. So if I press Ctrl Command Z, it will just toggle through the modes. You can see that. And after installation, it comes default with the upscale mode, just because I believe it works best for multiple streaming platforms and for smaller screens. If you're on ultra wide screen, obviously the upscale might not be what you want. And the stretch might also not be what you want, but that's where custom scaling comes in. I'm going to show that just in a bit. So normal mode, specifically made for mobile devices, probably just Android for now. So it just normalizes videos on some platforms, helps many users. That's the feedback that I received from my many users. So desktops will probably look like when you disable the activity, just like this. No difference. Maybe on some platforms it will work different. I haven't found any. So it works the same for me, like as if I disabled it, the activity. The upscale mode is just going to upscale entire video to fill any black bars on the X and Y axis. And it will definitely crop some content. So if you're watching something very important that you might lose some content on the sides, then maybe this mode is not what you're looking for. However, there's a stretch mode, which will try to compress everything inside your screen, remove black bars, of course, but it will distort the image. It will be stretched either on Y-axis or X-axis. I do not know. It depends on the screen, but for me, you can see it's Y-axis that's a little bit stretched. Still not a big deal for my small screen. It's 14-inch, so you can guess how it looks on 34-inch ultrawide monitor or something like that. Previously, I was an ultrawide monitor user, and I always used the either upscale or stretch mode. because it was not a big deal for me, but maybe it will be for you. Now, there's a feature called Magic Touch. It's sort of hidden. It's documented on the onboarding guide. But if you're using a touch device, you can pinch inwards to change the mode and cycle through infinitely, or you can pinch outwards to switch back to previous mode. So it's going forward and backwards as you pinch. So I cannot demonstrate that as I'm recording on Mac, obviously, but I can demonstrate on the trackpad, which supports multi-gestures, and many trackpads do support it nowadays. So if I pinch the trackpad inwards or backwards, you can see how it changes modes, like if I were using keyboard shortcuts. Basically the same, but no shortcuts to remember, and it just works. So, sorry about that. So what if you do not have either touchscreen or you do not have trackpad? Well, mouse to the rescue. Let me just plug it in real quick because I unplugged it. I am not really a mouse user myself. So plugging it in. And now you can see that I have plugged in the mouse here. I'm just going to try to focus the scroll wheel here. Okay, that's good. So you need to press Control on your device and then scroll upwards to change modes forward or downwards to change modes backwards. And if I release the Control key, then the YouTube has this new scroll feature while you're in full screen. So it will not do anything but just scroll, preserving the functionality that some platforms like YouTube may offer. So Control is really the key here. Now I'm gonna close the full screen, and I'm gonna show you the final feature, which is scale. And unfortunately, if I in full screen press Command Control and period, the interface will not show up as it does when I'm not in the full screen. I'm not sure why is this. I need to contact Firefox and see if it's a bug or they really do plan to not allow it, which is kind of weird. But if you ever switch on any Chromium-based browser, it will show over the full screen video, which is very useful because you can play with scaling and look at the image change in real time. So since we cannot do that, I can just go in normal mode and try to upscale downscale basically. And if I open up the video, you can see that now we have plenty of black bars on y-axis. So if I go back and try to upscale it to 1.1, for example, and we do not have any black bars, it seems. So it looks like, or maybe we do have a little bit. Yeah, we do. So if I upscale it to 1.2, you can now see that it's fully covered and looks like a stretch mode. This feature is very useful for some weird aspect ratios and also for super ultra wide monitors, which you can still, in combination with modes, you can still use and utilize to maintain aspect ratio of the video, having some black bars, but removing a bunch of them. So maybe you want to have some black bars on x-axis, but completely remove them on y-axis and do not have any kind of distorted image. It's a very useful feature. Unfortunately, I'm unable to show it off on the 14-inch screen, but it's there in case you ever need it. Now, finally, there's a localization in a new version of the UltraWideo. We have a handful of languages, but unfortunately, my system is set on English, so I cannot show that to you. Or actually, I think in Firefox I can. If I go to settings and search for language, I can probably change this to Spanish, right? Maybe I need to restart the browser, which I really do not want, because I would need to load my extension again locally as it's not yet released for Firefox. But trust me, it's there. We have maybe 6 languages, I think, currently being supported. And I highly appreciate if you have a spare maybe 5 minutes to help us translate on your language, and then other users as well as I will appreciate that contribution. And if you ever want to do that, you can go to the question mark to open the onboarding page and go to join discussions. And then you can click on this one where help is wanted, read through how do you actually contribute on GitHub. I try to be as thorough as possible, but also as, novice friendly, so that anyone who is not even a developer can contribute with a simple thing as language contribution. So yeah, I think I covered everything, maybe even more so than I wanted, time-wise. But yeah, I tried to cover everything so there's not anything misleading or, still being a concern. So yeah, thank you for watching and thank you for using UltraWideo.